Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Monday Mastery Moments with Michelle Live, where you can find tangible ways to live that fulfilling and enriched life that you've worked and are working so hard for. It's your time. Believe that. Now, I'm live Mondays at 6 a.m., and you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn, whatever your platform of choice is. So make sure you hit subscribe, follow, whatever it is you need to do so that you don't miss a single episode. Hey, I'm Michelle O'Neill, and I love a great conversation. So why don't you just grab a cup of coffee, whatever it is, your beverage of choice, and join me so we can settle in and get right in today's subject. And I can't wait on today's mastery moment. So tell me this. Are you having a hard time with compassion? Finding it hard to really care sometimes, or at least finding it hard to see in other people. Now, I've done a talk not too long ago about intolerance. A friend of mine and co host, Raven Waters, and I did a talk on intolerance that we're seeing around. But I think it goes a little deeper than that. I think actually, or I feel that it's deeper than that. And it's really about lack of compassion, right? So this week, has really been a test for me, or I should say last week, and a time of self evaluation because I had to really look hard at myself. And that's what brought me to this episode and why I wanted to really look at compassion in our lives and the judgment and the criticism that we have for others, and how are we being compassionate and empathetic to others. So my first question to you is, what is your level of compassion? Do you have any? Can you find it within yourself? How are you when it comes to roads, or making sure that you're courteous in the lines in the grocery store? How are you ranking on that scale of compassion? Well, to be honest, I'm not always there. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at understanding the natural human tendencies to judge others, and then we're going to start the journey of compassion by walking in others' shoes. I always said, you know, is that something I can do? Can I walk? You look at other people, you see where they are, you see what they're doing, and you say, can I walk in their shoes? Is that a journey that I would like to take? And most of the time, it's not. And then we're going to talk about be mindful of your limitations and other people's reality. Things aren't always what they seem. And then finally, we want to talk about what I really think is at the core of all of this lack of compassion is the practice of self-compassion. So I just want to say, hey, let me know that you're out there. And any comments, answer the question, where are you on the compassion scale? So one of the greatest ways to understanding, the human nature is to watch your interactions with others. And that's what was so telling for me this week is watching how I interacted with others, almost kind of sitting outside of yourself and checking yourself out. And sometimes you don't like what you see. And it really is telling, and you get a greater depth and understanding of the psychology of what's at the core of your behavior. Because remember, a lot of times the way we see the world around us, the way we see things is basically on how we see ourselves and what happens in our small little world. And hey, nobody knows better than you yourself. But the thing is, when you look at yourself, are you brutally honest? Can you be honest? And you have to be willing to accept that the things that you see, the reality of the things that you discover about yourself. So why don't we just jump right on in and start with understanding the natural human tendency to judge others. Hey, and I fight this on a daily basis. You know how you're looking at someone and you're thinking, why are they acting like that? Why are they doing this? But you don't seek to find out the why. You just make these snap judgments. And so we're naturally biased towards our own beliefs and opinions. Remember, I just said that we're kind of locked into our own world, the way things are with us and how we see things. And sometimes it's hard to look outside of what we know, how we grew up, what we experienced. And so everything we see around us, every way that we look at the world around us is through those glasses, the glasses of our world, the lenses of how we experience our world is how we think everyone else experiences the world. But, but girlfriend, boyfriend, I'm here to tell you right now that isn't true. It's important to be able to understand how others think in order to better communicate them. You ever find those people that it's hard to really for you the two of you to get on the same page? And it's because we're not seeing things from their perspective and they're not seeing things from our perspective. They're stuck in the things that they know, what they know, the world they know. And so one of the best things we can do is talk to someone else. Find out where they come from, what their story is, how they view things. And even though it's foreign to us and we don't always get it, we can at least understand where they're coming from. And so it helps us better communicate with them when we understand what's at the core. And then is we want to see things, we how do I say? We only see things from our small perspective and our knowledge. So we think absolutely that if it hasn't been done or if we can't see it, it isn't so. But I would challenge you to look at the fact that, we breathe every day, right? But when's the last time you saw air? Maybe when it's real cold outside and you breathe and you see that little puff of air, but it's not something we see on a daily basis. But it doesn't mean that it's not there. And so we have to do the same thing with just because this is so our little small world is so doesn't mean that there's a greater bigger world out there, and we're so quick to make those snap judgments based on our own knowledge instead of finding out the story of other people. Our knowledge or our beliefs is what we base everything on. Our knowledge and our beliefs is our reality, but is that right? So I was talking to someone the other day and we were talking about quarantine and how lack of tolerant we are about quarantine and feeling like we're stuck. And they said, "Do you really know what quarantine is? Do you understand what it is to be stuck in a place that you can't get out? Have you ever thought about those people that are in jail? They understand being on lockdown. And we complain about being on lockdown when we have the comforts of our own home, when we're able to talk to people, communicate with people whenever we want to, when we're able to make small changes, put on a mask or whatever it requires, but we're still able to leave when we want to. And we complain about being on lockdown when there's these people who have absolutely now no choice. And wait a minute, I hear you right now saying to me, but they're there because of the actions that they took and the things they did, and they deserve to be there. But that's not always the case. One thing I've found out that everybody that is incarcerated does isn't necessarily there because they deserve to be there. So we can't make that judgment, that snap judgment, that that what do you call it? Full judgment on everyone. And so we complain about being on lockdown. What about those that are bedridden or have in their homes because of certain fears or because they don't have the ability to move around the way they want to? They're stuck in a wheelchair or whatever it is. What about them? They're on lockdown. So in these cases, there is compassion that needs to be practiced, needs to be extended. We have to see outside of our perspective and what we're locked into. And so then we want to talk about the second thing. Start the journey of compassion by walking in other shoes. No, I don't want to be in jail, but I can understand as I learn more about it. You know, everyone has their own story and and everyone deserves the respect and dignity and kindness of understanding their story. That is the extension of the first bit of compassion. Find out why they're in the space they're in. What are the circumstances? Even when we talk about those that are incarcerated, why were they there? We don't know the full story. It isn't always the way we believe it. And then we're not to judge people for who they are or where they came from, because we have to understand that nobody, absolutely no one is perfect, least of all ourselves. And then we want to understand that everyone makes mistakes. And sometimes they make those mistakes or do those things for survival. And that goes back to understanding what their story is. Can I walk in their shoes? What would I have done in their situation? How would I have reacted? Where is your compassion? Compassion is not just a feeling, but it's an action. It's an action that we take towards their people. It's an act of putting ourselves maybe not in their shoes, but understanding their walk. Compassion means we don't necessarily have to be on that same journey, but we can take the time to understand that journey. Compassion means empathy for others, which comes from our understanding their point of view, taking the time to listen, to see where they're coming from or their situation in life. Compassion, compassion means being kind to those who need it most. Compassion means stepping outside of ourselves and our world. You know, this past week, I really had to take a step back. You know how we deal with people on a day-to-day basis and we get frustrated with them and we think about the fact that why aren't they doing the things that they're supposed to be doing? Why are they getting paid this amount, or why are they in this position and they can't even do what they're supposed to do? They're coming to me for help, asking me to tell them things, and they're supposed to already know this. And I find myself judging others for what I feel is their lack. And so that slapped me in my face this week when I took the time to really think about someone else's story and to know someone else's story. There was a person that I came in contact with, and I saw their struggles. And instead of helping them, I got angry with them inside. But it was just like I was called back, and I was like, I started asking questions. You know, what are you struggling with? Why is it so hard? What can I do to help? And they told me they wake up every day struggling to get through their day. And I felt inside myself, how cruel can you be passing judgment on this person and you don't know their story? I remember this song, You Don't Know the Cost of This Alabaster Box. We don't know the cost that other people have to, why they're in the situations they're in, and how we could step in and somehow, with compassion, help them through the struggles that they're in. That the things that we've gone through, the experiences that we've had, the challenges that we've dealt with, the knowledge that we have, the gifts that we have are for such a time as this, to step in with compassion and with love to help that person. We can't always help the whole world, but that one person that was put in front of us that day is the person that we are to extend our compassion and empathy to them, just like others extend compassion to us. Take a step back and just think how many times that there should have been judgment on you. How many times have you gotten away with things because of somebody else extending that compassion to you? And so that takes me to our third point of being mindful to our limitations and other people's reality. I want to remind you that it isn't always what it seems. And recently, I've come across so many people that are dealing with things on a level that I couldn't even imagine. There are so many people in my small sphere of world that I'm finding that are dealing with illnesses, things like MS, multiple sclerosis, and lupus, and mental illnesses. And to look at them or look upon them on a daily basis, you'd never know that they're dealing with the challenges they're dealing with. Because on the surface, they look great. They look fine. They're carrying on their day-to-day just like you. So what's the problem? Take the time to talk with them. Find out what's going on in the lives of those that you come in contact with every day. And then when you find out the challenges that they're dealing with, the thing is, we don't understand what we don't know. So I would challenge you to educate yourself. As I started dealing with or coming in contact with so many people that have MS and they look fine, I wanted to start understanding, what are they dealing with? What are some of the challenges? And what's so mind-boggling is each one of these people that I know, they're at different levels of this disease. Some are totally, you'd never know. And others are struggling on a daily basis to even get up to walk. And so I felt it was so important for me to understand this disease and take the time to really understand the realm and the ramifications that ravages the body and what they're going through and the fears that they're going through. And oh my God, you talk about now understanding compassion, understanding the ravages of lupus on the body, the daily pain that each one of these diseases bring into the lives, not just physically, but mentally. The fears of what happens as this get worse. Will there ever come a time when I can't take care of myself, when I have to be dependent on others? Understanding the deterioration that happens with your body. And so I felt that it's important that in order for me to be compassionate and extend kindness, I needed to understand what they were going through. Things like depression. You know, we look at someone and we like, just get over it. Just feel better. Get up. Smile each day. Say affirmations, but not understanding the depth of depression. Not really understanding because we've never been through it. Or if we have, it wasn't to the degree, or how do we know the degree that other people are going through or have gone through it? Where is your compassion? You know, I have a daughter who deals with bipolar, and I never understood. She looked fine. In fact, she had it from day one, and I didn't understand it, or at least it began to show itself at 2 years old. And so I read every book I could understand, or every book I should think of or could think of on what was it, strong will child, because I knew that was what it was. She was just strong will, but in my heart, I felt that there's something a little deeper here. This this strong will, the things they're telling me to do is not working. It's deeper. And so I had to learn on my own how to raise a child, because society and the medical society says, "Oh, children can't get bipolar. Oh, no way, it's very rare." And so as a mother with a child suffering with this illness, I had to learn to deal with it on my own. And so when I saw mothers dealing with children that had um, ADHD, because that's how they diagnosed her first. But I realized the medication wasn't working. And so as I watched mothers deal with these children with ADHD, there was compassion in my heart for them, because I was dealing with a child that no one even understood that had bipolar. And so I developed a compassion, because no one understands your struggle. So we have to understand other people's struggle and their day-to-day struggle, just not what we see, but what are they dealing with on a day-to-day basis? What are the challenges that they face on a daily basis, mentally, physically? Ask questions. You know, one thing I learned is I saw someone in a wheelchair and I forgot what they told me. And I said, "Can I ask you a question? Because I want to understand what you're going through." And they said, "Please do." They said, "I wish more people would ask instead of making these judgments in their heads. I wish they would ask so I could explain to them, so I could talk to them." But we don't afford others that opportunity. So ask questions. But before you just blurt out a question, ask them, "Can I ask the question? Can I ask the question about your disease, or what's going on with you?" And have those difficult conversations. Sometimes that's all they're they're waiting for is someone to show the compassion and care and ask. And so that brings me to my final point, and that's the practice of self-compassion. The thing is, where did all this lack of compassion come from? Have you asked yourself that question? I did. I find that I'm exacting and hard with my expectations of others. I really am. But what I've always also realized is that I'm just as hard. And to be perfectly honest, I'm even harder on myself. I expect no mistakes and have very, very leeway for errors. I am so hard on myself. And so let me ask you a question. Does that sound familiar? Do you find yourself being so hard on yourself, trying to be perfect, trying to be that perfect wife, that perfect mother, that perfect coworker, husband, boss, business owner, that perfect friend, always there, always dependable, always there to step in, to support, to give. But what are you giving yourself? How are you supporting yourself? Are you listening to yourself, to your body, to your thoughts, to your feelings? How are you doing with that self-compassion? How hard do you drive yourself? How are you at meeting all your expectations? Not that good, huh? It's not easy. I had to learn self-compassion, and the core of practicing self-compassion is acceptance. It's not easy. It's a concise, conscious effort. It's one that we have to make every minute of every day because it's so easy to fall back on judgment. It's a decisive action. It's taking that second to say, stop. No, I'm not going to do that. Wouldn't you step in for someone else really quick and say, stop? Don't talk to them like that. Don't treat them like that. How many times have you told your child, baby, that's not nice? Baby, we don't say that to people. Baby, we don't treat people like that. We don't do that. Be kind. You have to love each other. Are you kind to yourself? Do you love yourself? Have you taken the time to understand yourself? Have you extended compassion to yourself? Because cultivating compassion for others starts with us. Compassion for ourselves is the process that starts with self-kindness. And when we practice self-kindness, then we're able to extend it to others. And it's more than just having compassion for others, but when we're compassionate, when we practice this, it boosts our mental health. How do you feel when you're compassionate to others? When you're kind, there's a happiness, there's a joy that you're able to extend that part of yourself. You like yourself more, don't you? when you're compassionate. You like what you see. You like that character that you're extending. You like yourself. And I like you too. Consel- Self-compassion is that ability to be kind and understanding towards yourself, especially in times of hardship or when you're struggling. Would you beat someone else when they're struggling? Would you beat someone else when they're down? Then why are you doing that to yourself? It's a practice of being mindful of your thoughts, holding them captivity, checking them, holding captivity of your feelings. Are they real? Are they warranted? It's understanding what you're feeling inside and also understanding how to pull those other feelings, knowing there's an exercise. And I say, we have to, when you're in that good space, really be mindful of what you're feeling, what's happening in your body. Are your shoulders straightening? Is there a calm rushing over you? Because when you're in those judgmental spots of yourself, we need to pull those good feelings in. We need to find those behaviors, those good behaviors without judgment. Compassion could also be described as having an open-hearted awareness of your experience in the present moment without blaming yourself and without feeling shame. It's that ability to take that step back and look at it from the outside, not blaming yourself, but evaluating yourself and saying, what have I learned here? What can I do better? Self-compassion does not imply that one should not strive for improvement because we always want to be better. We always want to be the best, or you should, if not for yourself, for others. And it doesn't mean that we don't want to take responsibility for our actions. But what it does mean is being kinder. I like that word. Being kinder to yourself when you are facing difficulties. You're not perfect, but you are on the road to progress. I have a friend that has a saying about that. We fall into what everyone else is doing, criticizing, finding fault, living with discontentment and dissatisfaction. It's so easy when every time you turn on the TV, you see cruelty, meanness. And it's so hard not to fall into that trap. But we can make a conscious effort. We can purposely make sure that we are living a compassionate and empathetic life, one day at a time. We don't have to be perfect in that. But we can wake up every morning. I have a saying over here on my board, and I wanted to share it with you. It says, I will greet each day with love in my heart. And I put it there because I wanted to remember. Not just when I wake up, but every time I turn my head. I wanted to remind myself as I dealt with others throughout my day that I want to greet each day with compassion, empathy, and love in my heart. So, with that said, I want to invite you to a group program that I have that will be starting in a week, May 16th. The purpose of this program is to help you get consistency and control in your life. And if you want to start with compassion, being consistently compassionate, being consistently kind, whatever it is that you're struggling with, overwhelm, overcommitment, no time for yourself to grow in compassion, I want to be there for you. And so I invite you to the Run Your Life Mastery Experience that starts May 16th. And all you have to do is, when you're ready, just go over to meet.michelleoneil.com/experience, because it is an experience. It's an experience in changing your life for the better, to being a better you, a you that you want to wake up to every morning. Look, I am so thrilled that you were able to hang out with me today on our Monday Mastery Moments for this chat on compassion. I want you to know that you are amazing. And I hope that you enjoyed this live. I hope that you can walk away today with compassion and kindness in your heart and let go of judgment. That when someone backs up at you, that you extend kindness and compassion to them. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you subscribe and follow or register so you don't miss a single episode. And if you want to know what I'm up to, just go to meet.michelleoneil.com. And I have a special gift for you there too. Let me know how I can serve you better on your walk in compassion, on your walk in life, so that you can further your mastering your Monday. And so I leave you with this: master every day, every single day, not like it's today, not like it's your Monday, but so it's your life. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.